County supervisors held a public hearing last night in Fairfax County, Virginia, as they close in on a vote on whether to allow the Islamic Academy to grow. We don't know a lot about it, so we've called in former Assistant Secretary of Defense and President of the Center for Security Policy, Frank Gaffney, Jr., joining us today from Atlanta. Hi, Frank.
Good morning, Steve.
First of all, I used to live down in Fairfax County. I'm familiar with the case here. It has been called terror high. Why?
This is a school that the Saudis have established in the United States as part of a much more broad-reaching effort on their part to promote what they believe is the true authoritative version of Islam. It has at its core a program, and we've talked about it before, called Sharia. And by its very nature, Sharia involves inculcating in the adherents the belief that their obligation, this supremacist idea, is they must ensure that Islam triumphs over all others through violent jihad where possible and through more stealthy means where violence is not possible. This academy is part and parcel of that program. Okay,
so the academy wants to expand, wants to get bigger, and so there, I think 400 or 500 people showed up last night in Fairfax County, mostly to say, we can't let this happen right now. But let's talk a little bit about, and the Saudis who are involved in this, they say that there's nothing to that, don't call it terror high. But when you look at the valedictorian of the class back in 1999, in 2005, the valedictorian of this academy was convicted for joining al-Qaeda and plotting to assassinate President Bush.
Right. And that's only one of several episodes with faculty members and other students that gives rise to this concern. But again, it's central to the curriculum that involves training under the Saudis' pedagogy, their textbooks, that promotes this idea that that's what you're supposed to be doing. So you've got 1,200 students, if the Saudis have their way, within minutes of the seat of our government, inculcated with this idea that their job is to wage jihad. I mean, is it any wonder that people in Northern Virginia are beginning to say, wait a minute, to their Board of Supervisors in Fairfax County? It's high time, Steve, because frankly, this thing has been moving along inexorably, I believe, because of, among other things, the reason that Glenn Beck mentioned a moment ago. We're so desperate for Saudi help, mostly recycling our petrodollars, that we're not going to raise any concerns, at least at the State Department, the federal government level, about this totalitarian ideology that they're trying through stealth and through violence to promote worldwide, including in our own country.
And so our own State Department not helpful on this because Saudi Arabia is our gas station. Real quickly, though, one of the bones of contention has been the fact that apparently the books that they've been using at this academy have in the past come directly from Saudi Arabia, and they talk, and you kind of touched on all of the bad stuff in those books, but there have been, 40 different instances where they've come back and said, okay, we've ripped pages out of it. Who's doing the books now?
Yeah, as far as I know, it's still the Saudis. This is a Saudi government-owned operation. The textbooks, I believe, are still from Saudi Arabia. They keep telling us they're cleaning them up. There's a terrific effort underway. The Virginia Anti-Sharia Task Force, led by Jim Lafferty, has been holding people accountable. We now have apparently until August 13th to weigh in, both in Virginia and nationwide, against this expansion of a Saudi sort of petri dish for incubating more Wahhabi, Sharia adherent terrorists, perhaps, in our country. And I hope that the American people will engage in this where the State Department and our federal government and others are refusing to do so.
It's quite a story. All right, Frank Gaffney, Jr. joining us from Atlanta. We thank you, sir, for getting up on this Tuesday morning.